like the base of the tree, connecting you down, rooting you into the earth. And then the spine rising up, all the way up to the head. Imagining perhaps the branches opening up to the sky, connecting you to the sky above. So as you inhale, visualizing energy traveling up the spine. And then as you exhale, feeling that energy flowing over the whole body. And now turning the palms up, bringing the thumbs and forefingers together, becoming aware of your breath in your abdomen. Observing the movement of the abdomen with the inhale and the exhale. And curling the fingers into the palms of the hands and bringing the awareness up to the rib cage. Noticing the ribs opening up, welcoming in the new breath, and squeezing closed, pressing out all the stale air. And now tucking your thumbs inside your fingers, bringing the awareness up to the top of the chest, feeling the sternum rise up as you inhale, and then releasing down as you exhale. And now bring the fists onto the abdomen for 3 full yogic breaths, inhaling up, abdomen, rib cage, chest. Exhaling, chest, rib cage, abdomen. 2 more like that in your own time. And then with the final exhalation, just letting the hands rest back onto the knees. Letting the breath settle back into its natural rhythm. And now as you inhale, lifting the chin up. And then exhaling, dropping the chin down to the chest. And then inhaling and lift up. And exhaling, chin to chest. And one more time. Resting the chin down, take the hands behind the head, interlinking the fingers, just to feel that little stretch through the back of the neck. And then come back up to the center, interlinking the fingers now under the chin, inhaling, lifting the head up, keeping the shoulders relaxed, breathing naturally. And then releasing back to the center. Resting the hands down, looking over to the right on your next inhalation, and exhaling to the center, inhaling over to the left, and back to the center, and across to the right, and center, and over to the left, and then back to the center. And now taking the right arm all the way over to the left ear, and then letting the head drop over to the side. Coming back up to the center, and then taking it the other way. And back up to the center. Okay, and then the neck rotations over to the right as you inhale, and then releasing the chin down and all the way around, inhaling as the head comes around the back. And 2 more like that. Finishing with the chin back down to the chest. And then we take it over to the right hand side, inhale, looking to the, left hand side, and then 3 times around this way. And then when you've completed, just bring the head back up to the centre. And then moving on to your hands and knees. Ready for your cat stretches. So open the fingers out nice and wide, palms pressing down into the mat. Knees hip distance apart. And then inhale as you arch the back. And then exhale as you round through the spine, squeezing the abdomen in. Inhaling again as you lift up, and exhaling as you round and squeeze. And then just keep going another 4 rounds in your own time. One more round. Finishing on your next exhalation. And then bringing it back into your neutral spine position, so keeping the gaze down towards the mat. And then start to stretch the left leg out behind you, reaching forwards with the right hand. Activating the core muscles. And on the next exhale, release hand and knee down. And then taking it to the other side, stretching out. And then releasing back down. And then we'll go for the right arm and left leg again, stretching out. And then the option now to catch hold of the foot behind you, working into the oblique abdominals. And then release down. And then taking it to the other side, stretching out. And then perhaps catching hold of the foot. And release that back down. And then bringing the big toes in together, opening the knees out a little bit wider, resting the bottom back towards the heels. And then the head either resting down to the mat or bending the elbows to rest the head onto the forearms or the hands. Just giving yourself a moment or two here. And then inhaling, coming back up onto all fours again. And we're going to come into a downward facing dog. So tucking your toes under, lifting up through the legs, and then walk it out right heel and left heel for a few rounds. With the feet about hip distance apart here. Gazing back towards your toes. Inhaling, coming up onto the toes. And then exhaling as you release the heels towards the floor. Pushing the hips towards the back of the mat. A couple more breaths here. And then taking baby steps forwards, coming into a soft forward bend. Keeping a little bend in the knees, catching hold of the opposite elbows. Just take a little bit of movement from left to right. And then slowly unfurl as you come up into standing. Okay, so ready for some opening up through the lungs. So bring the palms of the hands together out in front of you, and then inhale, stretching out with the arms, and exhaling back into the center. Inhaling as you open out, and exhaling into the center. 4 more like that. Two more times. And then letting the hands release down. Okay, now preparing to come up onto your toes as you inhale, lifting up, maybe reaching the arms up at the same time, and then exhaling and slowly releasing back down. Inhaling as you lift up, and exhaling and release down. And one more time, inhale coming up. See if you can maybe hold it here for a breath or two, finding that focus. And then slowly release back down. And then just relaxing feet apart. Okay, take the hands out in front and squeeze and stretch out through the fingers. And then bring the fingers together, up and down through the wrists. And then make the hands into a fist and circle one way. And then circle back the other way. And then release that down. And then bring the hands onto the shoulders, inhaling elbows together, and exhaling as you squeeze the shoulder blades together. So 2 more like that. And then taking it back the other way. Releasing out between the shoulder blades as you come forwards. One more time. And release down. Okay, opening up the waist now, so bringing the hands up to the chest, reaching right arm behind, and then coming back to the centre, and then reaching up left arm back, and into the centre, and then right side, and centre, and over to the left, and then once again on each side. Coming back to the centre. Relaxing the hands, softening through the knees, bring hands to the hips and then circle around the hips. And then back the other way. And then bringing yourselves down into sitting, legs out in front of you. And make sure you're sitting up nice and tall, and then flex and point through the toes. And then the toes up, squeeze them in and stretch them out a few times. And then letting the feet relax, circle around in the ankles. And then the other way. And back to the centre. And then bend the right knee in, interlink the fingers under the thigh, and then circling around from the knee. And then back around the other way. And then release that down. And then taking it to the other side. And then back around the other way. And then release down. Okay, coming down onto your backs. Extending the arms out to perpendicular. And then inhaling up with the right leg. Exhale, bending the knee in towards you, lifting the head up and then circling around one way. And back around the other way. And releasing back to the floor, stretching right leg to the ceiling, interlink the fingers behind the thigh, flex the toes towards you. And then open the arms out wide and slowly releasing the leg all the way down. And then just resting into Shavasana, Relaxation Pose. And preparing for the other side, so feet coming together, reaching arms out to perpendicular, inhaling up with the left leg. Exhale, bend the knee in towards you, lifting the head up and circle around the right leg. And then back the other way. And then releasing back to the floor, stretching left leg to the ceiling, interlinking the fingers behind the thigh. And open out to the side and slowly release the leg all the way back down. And then just bringing yourselves into relaxation pose, so hands a little way away from the body, palms facing up, allowing the whole body to release into the floor. And then reaching the arms overhead. Giving yourself a stretch out. And then bending the knees into your chest, hugging the knees in. A little rock from side to side. And then rolling up and down the spine. And then going to come halfway up into a boat pose, so maybe holding onto the legs, releasing the hands or stretching the legs out. And then bring yourselves up into sitting, and then slowly coming back onto all fours. And then we're going to step forward with the right foot between the hands, into a low lunge, and then bring the hands up onto the knee, releasing through the front of the left thigh. And then releasing the hands down, step that knee back, taking the other foot forwards. A little tilt forwards of the hips to release through the hip flexor, keeping the knee above the ankle. And then releasing the hands down, stepping the right foot forwards, coming back to the soft forward bend, and then slowly unfurling. Coming up into standing, ready for some Sun Salutations. So starting towards the top end of the mat, bringing the hands into the heart center. As you inhale, start to reach the arms up, and then exhaling, hinging forwards, releasing hands to the floor, bend the knees if you need to, and then right foot stepping to the back of the mat, releasing the knee down for a moment, pressing the weight into the palms of the hands, step his left leg back, coming into a strong plank position. Inhale, release the knees down, exhale, flattening the toes, bottom comes back to the heels. Inhale as you lift up. Exhaling, bend the elbows towards the back of the mat, chest down between the hands, and then sliding the belly to the floor, inhaling to low cobra, and then pushing back on the exhale, making your way back to down dog. Couple of breaths here, keeping the neck soft. And then inhaling, knees down, exhale, take the bottom back. Inhale, stepping right foot between the hands. Exhale, step left foot forwards, reaching the arms out, inhaling, palms together, and then exhale into this heart center once more. Breath or two here. Preparing for our second round. Inhaling, stretching up. Exhaling as you hinge forwards. Inhale, step right leg back. Exhale, left leg back. Inhale, knees down. Exhale, take the bottom back to the heels. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, chest between the hands. Sliding the belly forwards. Inhale, up to low cobra. And then exhaling as you make your way back into down dog. Couple of breaths here. Inhale, knees down. Exhale, bottom to heels. Inhale as you come up, right foot between the hands. Exhaling, left foot forwards. Opening the arms out, reaching hands together. And then coming back to the heart center for a couple of breaths. Okay, last round, no instructions. And then just relaxing. Feet apart, hands alongside the hips. And then bring the feet in a little bit closer as you come into a mountain pose. So feeling the muscles in the thighs are active, core muscles are active, keeping the spine in alignment. So just closing your eyes here and imagine that you're looking at your side profile, just checking that the hips are over the ankles, shoulders over the hips, and the head is just resting at the top of the spine, chin parallel to the floor. And then coming into a side stretch, so turning the right arm to face up, reaching the hands up towards the ceiling as you inhale, and then exhaling, sliding the hand down the other leg or supporting the hand to the hip if that's better for your back. As you inhale again, coming up to the center, exhaling, releasing the arm down. Take it to the other side, turn the palm up, inhale, left arm up. Exhaling as you slide the hand down the leg, and then maintain steady breathing. On the next inhale coming up, and exhale releasing down, and then just stepping feet apart to relax. Okay, so coming to a forward fold now, so we're going to keep the feet more or less parallel, about hip distance apart. Take the hands onto the hips. Inhale and lift up through the chest, and then hinging the body forwards as you release into that forward fold. And think about activating through the thigh muscles, and then just sliding the hands down the legs, just to wherever they reach, allowing the crown of the head to point down towards the floor. And just check in with the balance through the soles of the feet. So if you find you are back on the heels, you could lift your toes, just bring yourself a little bit forwards. If you find that you could lift the heels, then just take yourself a little bit back until the weight's nice and even through both feet. And then softening the knees, slide the hands back up to the hips, and then inhale as you come up into standing. And then just relaxing, standing pose. Okay, coming back into mountain pose, coming into a back bend, so bring the hands into the small of the back with the fingers pointing down. Inhaling and lifting up through the chest. Exhale, pushing the hips forwards. Maybe lifting the chin slightly to gaze up towards the ceiling. Keep breathing nice and steadily. Any feeling of dizziness, come out of the pose. If you want to go deeper, just take it perhaps a little bit further back, where you can still keep breathing steadily. And on the next inhalation, coming all the way back up, and exhaling, releasing the hands and relaxing feet apart. So coming to our balancing poses now. So starting in a steady mountain, take the weight onto the right foot, lifting the left knee out to the side, and then either taking the sole of the foot against the calf, or perhaps lifting it all the way into the thigh. Focusing the gaze onto a steady point in front of you, hands come into the heart center. And then if you're feeling stable, starting to reach the hands up. And then interlinking the fingers, turning the palms up to the ceiling, reaching up, and then open out to the side and releasing. Foot back down, a little shake out to your standing leg. Coming back into mountain pose once more. Okay, shift the weight to the other foot, open the right knee to the side, and choose your foot position either below the knee or all the way up into the thigh, not directly onto the knee. Focus the gaze onto a steady point in front of you. And then if you're stable, starting to reach the hands up. Interlinking the fingers, turning the palms up to the ceiling, reaching up, and then open out to the side and releasing, foot back down, and a little shake out of the standing leg. Okay. I'm going to come to eagle pose now, so bending your knees, taking the right knee over the top of the left thigh, open the arms out to the side, keep you stable, and then bring the left elbow on top of the right, and then either bringing the backs of the hands together or hugging the shoulders or twisting through the wrist to turn the palms together. So making that squeeze through all the joints in the body. And then releasing the arms and releasing the legs. Okay, back to mountain pose, preparing for the other side, bend the knees. Now left knee over the top of the right, arms to the side, and right elbow on top of the left. And choosing your hand position here, try to keep the standing knee bent, helps you to maintain that stability. And then releasing the arms, releasing the legs, and relaxing feet apart. Good. Okay, so coming back to the top of the mat, ready for the warrior postures. Stepping back with the right foot, turning the foot out to a 45-degree angle so your hips are still facing forwards. Bending through the left knee, just checking the knee is directly over the ankle, just see the big toe poking out. And then inhaling and reaching up with the arms. And maybe lifting the gaze up between the fingers. Steady breathing here, then checking the weight is nice and even through both feet. And as you exhale again, releasing the hands down, straighten up through the left leg. Bring the hands onto the hips, inhale and lift up through the chest, and then as you exhale, hinging the body forwards, gazing towards the big toe or perhaps to the kneecap. And then moving into a reverse triangle, taking the right hand to the outside of the left leg, twisting. So bring the left hand onto the sacrum, or perhaps reaching left fingertips up towards the ceiling. And then exhaling, turning to look back towards the big toe, hands onto the hips. Inhale, lifting up. Exhaling as you step to the top of the mat, relaxing feet apart. Ready for the other side. Stepping back with the left foot, keeping the hips facing forwards, bending through the right knee. Inhale up with the arms. And then if you want to go a little bit deeper, taking the gaze up between the fingers. Feeling the stability through the soles of the feet. And then as you exhale, releasing the hands down, straightening up right leg, hands onto hips. Inhale up through the chest, hinging the body forwards. Gazing down towards the big toe, or maybe towards the kneecap. And then coming into that twist, hand to the outside of the calf, other hand resting onto the sacrum as you turn to look over the shoulder, maybe reaching up with the right fingertips to the ceiling. And as you exhale, turning to look back towards the big toe, hands onto hips, inhale, lifting up, exhaling, stepping to the top of the mat, and relaxing feet apart. Okay, ready for a warrior two now. So step the right foot back, opening out to more like 90 degrees, so hips are along the long edge of the mat, reaching out through the arms, bending left knee, taking the gaze down the middle finger. Feeling yourself being opened up, fingertip to fingertip, maintaining steady breath. And next inhale, starting to straighten up through the left leg. Preparing to come into triangle, shifting towards the front of the mat, releasing the back of the hand to the inside of the knee, lifting up through the right fingertips, perhaps turning the gaze to look up towards the right thumb. Steady breathing here. And on the next exhale, turning to look back towards the big toe, inhaling, arms up to parallel. Bending the left knee, dropping the elbow down to the knee, and then swinging up and through with the right arm. Just making that little adjustment of the hips so you get that nice stretch all the way through the right side of the body. And then inhale, up and over, exhaling to the top of the mat, relaxing the feet apart. Okay, now the other side, so stepping back with the left foot, opening the hips out to the side, reaching out with the arms, bending the right knee, again just a little check to make sure the knee's nicely over the ankle, and then taking the gaze to the middle finger, finding that focus, strength of the pose. And then to exhale, releasing the hands straighten up the right leg. We're coming to triangle first. So taking the fingertips to the front of the mat, or back of the mat for you, hand to the inside of the knee, lifting up, reaching fingertips up to the ceiling. Into your triangle pose, opening up through the chest and the shoulders. And as you exhale, turning the head back towards the big toe, arms come back to parallel. And now bending the knee, elbow onto knee, and then swinging up and through. Left arm. And then as you inhale, reaching the arm up and over. Turning the feet parallel to each other. Ready for the wide-legged forward fold. So just turn the big toes very slightly inwards so you've got the pressure through the outer edge of the foot to keep you stable here. Hands come onto the hips, inhale and lift up through the chest, and then exhale as you hinge forwards, releasing into a forward fold, and then just letting the hands slide down the outer edge of the legs, maybe to the shins or the ankles, or maybe all the way down to the outer edge of the foot, so catch hold of that if that's available to you, otherwise just keep the hands resting on the legs. Letting the neck soften, crown of the head towards the floor, and just checking in with the balance through the soles of the feet. And now bring the hands into the centre. Taking the right hand directly underneath your nose, inhaling the left arm up as you turn to look up towards the ceiling. A couple of breaths here. And then exhaling as you release down. And the left hand into the centre, inhaling up with the right arm. And on the next exhale, releasing that down. And then walk the hands out in front of you. Coming up onto the toes as you inhale, and then releasing the hips back, heels to the floor, head dropping down between the elbows, coming into that wide-legged down dog. And then walk the hands back in towards you. Heel toe the feet a little bit closer, so they're just a bit wider than the hips. And then bending the knees to come down into a low squat position. If you have a block, you may be able to just tuck the block under your heels. If you're able to, coming all the way into a flat-footed squat, keeping the chest upright, maybe bring the hands into the heart center so you can press the elbows against the inside of the knees. Good. And then slowly bringing yourselves down to sitting. Coming to sitting in butterfly with the soles of the feet together, hands onto the ankles, lifting up through the spine. Taking a couple of breaths here. And then releasing the right leg out, taking the left hand underneath the calf, lifting the foot up, hold onto it with the other hand. A little bit of a release out here. Okay, bring the foot into the centre, hold the heel and toes, inhale the foot up, keeping the spine nice and upright as you squeeze the big toe in towards your nose. Couple of breaths here. And then slowly releasing the foot down. So either take the foot alongside the thigh, or you may be able to bring the top of the foot to rest onto the thigh, so the edge of the foot is into that hip crease. So right toes active, take the arms out to the side, inhale, reaching up with the arms. As you exhale, hinging the body forwards, coming into a forward fold, hands resting alongside the leg, elbows soft, releasing through the neck as the head releases towards the knee. A couple more breaths here. And then stretching the fingertips out in front, inhale as you reach the arms up, and then twisting around, right hand to the knee, left hand supports behind you as you turn to look over the shoulder. And as you exhale again, turning back to the centre, taking the two fingers of the left hand around the big toe, inhaling the foot up, and then exhale, bending the knee. Try to keep the abs active, lifting up through the top of the head, and then releasing the toes, stretching the leg out, and slowly release it down. And then take the hands behind. Let's have a little relax of the legs here. And then come back up to sitting straight, bending the right knee in now. Take the hand under the calf, lift the foot up, and then open up through the hip joint. Bringing the foot into the centre, holding heel and toes, inhaling the foot up, exhale, squeezing it in towards you. And then as you exhale again, releasing the foot down, either alongside the thigh, or again, you might like to try just bringing the edge of the foot towards the top of the thigh. If you find that's too much through the ankle and the knee, then just letting the foot drop alongside the thigh. Activating the toes to the ceiling, inhale, reaching the arms up, and then hinging forwards, hands resting either side of the leg, and then letting the head relax, or the neck relax, so the head releases down. Keeping the shoulders and elbows soft, but keeping the left toes active, activating the left leg. And then stretch the fingertips out in front of you. Inhale as you come up, and then twisting over to the right, supporting the hand behind you as you turn to look over the shoulder. Taking a couple of breaths here. And then exhaling and releasing back to the centre. And then two fingers coming around the big toe. Inhale, right foot up, exhale. Again, keeping the abdominal muscles active here, keeping the spine upright. And then releasing the foot, release it out in front of you, holding it there for a moment, and then slowly releasing down. And then just relaxing, hands behind. Okay, then we're going to open the legs out wide, and then just adjust yourself so you're sitting onto the sit bones, activating through the feet, feeling the inner groin area, and then clasping the hands in front of you, circling around from the hips, increasing the circles, and then coming back into the center, and then taking it around the other way. And coming back into the center. And then just opening the hands, releasing the palms of the hands to the floor. And then preparing for a side stretch, so right hand to the inside of the knee, take the left arm out to the side, inhaling up, exhale, elbow presses to the inside of the knee, twisting through the torso, reaching fingertips over towards the right toes, gazing up underneath the armpit, stretching out through the whole left of the body. And then inhale as you come back up. Okay, just resting the hands once more in front of you, just taking a moment or two here. And taking it to the other side, hand to the inside of the knee, right arm inhaling up, exhaling elbow to press against the knee so you can twist through the torso, looking up under the armpit, keeping the legs active. Steady breathing. And then inhaling and coming back up. And then just take the hands underneath the thighs to support the thighs as the feet come in together. So creating this diamond shape of the legs. And just folding yourselves forwards into a turtle pose. So either have the hands resting onto the feet or sliding the hands underneath the calves, walking out the fingertips forwards. And then as you inhale again, starting to walk the hands back in, bring yourselves upright, releasing the legs out, relaxing the hands behind. Okay, we're going to come onto our tummies. Some back bends. So elbows underneath the shoulders, just maybe wiggle the hips a little to settle the pelvis into the mat. Lifting up through the spine. Finding the pressure through the lower back. Maybe squeezing the vertebrae together. And then releasing elbows out to the side, relax the head down, turning the head towards the left side, right cheek onto the mat. Okay, reach the hands out in front of you, forward on the mat. Exhale as you bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Inhale, peeling the head and chest off the floor, but keeping virtually no pressure in the hands. If you want to take it a little bit deeper, then now there's a little bit of pressure in the hands. Keep the elbows bent, coming into a full cobra. Or you can just keep down low if that's better for your back. So wherever you are comfortable for the next couple of breaths. And as you exhale, slowly releasing all the way down, and then turning the head to the right, left cheek, resting on the mat. Bring the head back to the centre again, chin on the mat, hands into a fist, lifting up the thighs, placing the fists under the thighs, and then bring the toes to touch. So keeping the left leg relaxed, pointing the right toes back, inhaling the right leg up. And as you exhale, releasing that back down. So right leg is relaxed, activating through the left toes, inhaling left leg up. And then exhaling as you release down. And then both together, point the toes, inhaling legs up, steady breathing, chin still on the mat. And then on the next exhalation, releasing that down. And just opening the hands alongside the thighs, turning the head to the left, relaxing right cheek onto the mat. And we're going to come to our full back bend, so you can choose here either flying locust with the arms out to 45 degrees, or coming into a bow pose by catching hold of the ankles, inhaling wherever you are, lifting up arms and legs, chest and head off the floor, into this full arch of the back, breathing nice and steadily. And on the next exhale, slowly releasing it all the way back down, turning the head to look towards the right, left cheek on the mat. And then slowly making your way back up to all fours. And then just a bit of movement here to release out through the back. preparing to come into a dragon pose, so starting in a tabletop, stepping the right foot to the outside of the right hand. And then taking it into a twist, hand onto the knee, looking over the shoulder. And then releasing back to the centre. And coming into the half split, so take the right hand at the outside of the leg, walking the right foot forwards. And then turning the toe up towards the ceiling to get the stretch down the back of the right leg. Now you need to stay up on your fingertips, or you may be able to release it a little bit further forwards. And then coming out of that, releasing the foot down, bring the hand to the inside of the leg, walk the foot out to the outside of the mat. So the right foot, sole of the foot is flat to the floor. Left hand comes to the outside of the left knee, ready for a gate pose, reaching the right arm all the way over. And then coming back onto all fours, bring the knees underneath the hips. And then walk the hands out in front of you, resting down into a prayer pose. Forehead coming down to the mat. And then as you inhale, walking the hands back underneath the shoulders. And then stepping forwards with the left foot to the outside of the left hand. And then bring the left hand up onto the knee to make that little twist. And then releasing it back down. And then moving into our half split, so taking the left hand to the outside of the leg, walking the foot forwards, and then turning the toes up towards the ceiling, stretching down the back of the hamstring here. And then you might want to stay up high onto the fingertips, or perhaps walking the hands further forwards, coming onto the palms of the hands if that works for you. And then I'm going to move into the gate pose, so bring the hand to the inside of the leg now, walking the left foot out to the outside of the mat, sole of the foot onto the floor, right hand to the outside of the knee, reaching the left arm all the way over. And then coming back to all fours. And then walking the hands out in front, resting the head down in between the elbows. Prayer pose. And then inhaling as you walk the hands back. Maybe walking the knees into the centre of the mat, coming in ready for a camel pose, back bend. So keeping the knees about hip distance apart, take the hands into the small of the back, fingers pointing down. Inhaling up through the chest, exhaling, pushing the hips forwards and lifting the chin towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. And then on the next inhale, coming up and exhaling, coming down to sitting on your heels, bringing the knees in a little bit closer. Okay, ready for a twist pose. So right buttock moves to the outside of the mat. And then you're going to swing the left foot over the outside of the right knee. Make sure both sit bones are on the floor. If that doesn't work, then extend the lower leg out in front of you. So either of those two options. And then taking the right elbow around the knee, left hand behind to look over the shoulder. Keeping the spine up nice and straight here into the twist. If you want to take it a bit deeper, then you can bring the elbow to the outside of the knee. And on the next exhalation, turning back to the centre, If the leg's extended, just bend it back in and bring the top leg to rest into the arch of the foot, creating a deer pose, turning to look over to the right side. And then exhaling, coming back to the centre. And coming into a gate pose once more, so a slightly variation here. So right hand comes in front of you, knee and foot into a straight line, inhaling up through the fingertips. And then exhaling and releasing back to sitting on the heels. Then shifting the left buttock over to the outer edge of the mat, bringing the right foot to the outside of the knee. Again, choice either to keep the leg tucked in or extended out in front of you. Taking the left arm around the outside of the knee, right hand behind the base of the spine. Or bringing the elbow all the way over the outside of the knee to increase a little bit more torsion through the spine. And then as you exhale again, turning back to the centre, taking the top leg, bending the lower one in if you need to, placing the right leg into the arch of the left foot, twisting to look over the left shoulder. And then once more coming into that gate pose, so walking the left hand out in front of you, the right knee, left knee, right foot behind, reaching up through the right fingertips. And then exhaling, turning back to the centre. And then this time we're just going to rest into a child pose. So resting the bottom of the heels, and then either have the hands in front of you, forehead onto the hands, or hands alongside the feet if the head reaches down all the way to the mat. And then inhaling, coming up to sitting on the heels. Okay, I'm going to rest, stretch the legs out in front. Coming into a seated forward fold, so keeping the spine up nice and straight, activating the toes up towards the ceiling, take the arms out to the side. Inhale, lifting the arms up, and then hinging from the hips, releasing the belly towards the thigh, and then letting the hands just drop down either side of the leg, so don't feel you've got to reach for the toes because that's likely to hunch your shoulders. So keep the hands low to the outer edge of the legs. If they reach all the way towards the feet, then you can maybe just hook the fingers around the outer edges of the feet, and then just allowing the head to release down, keeping the elbows and the shoulders relaxed. Stretching down the back of the legs. A couple more breaths. And then inhaling, stretch the fingertips in front, lifting all the way up. And then exhale, releasing the hands down. Rest the hands behind. Take the feet slightly apart to relax. Okay, now we're going to come down into a fish pose, I think is the word. So we're going to bring the hands underneath the buttocks, so the palms of the hands are in contact with the mat, and then releasing down onto your elbows, and then last of all letting the head release down, keeping the chest lifted up, maybe bringing the crown of the head to the floor, maybe making a little bit of movement with the jaw, like a fish. And then as you inhale, lift the head up, looking all the way back towards your toes, supporting onto the elbows before you then start to move yourself back up into sitting. And then resting the hands behind you. Good. And then we're going to come down onto our backs. Preparing for bridge pose, so keeping the knees bent, bring the heels in fairly close to the buttocks, hands resting alongside the feet about hip distance apart. And then pressing down to the soles of the feet, inhale, lifting the hips up off the floor, and then exhaling, releasing the spine all the way back down. Inhaling as you lift up, and exhaling, and release down. One more time, inhaling, lifting up, keeping the bringing the hands together, interlinking the fingers, and then rolling the shoulders underneath. So you can just push up a little higher through the hips, and then the chest comes into contact with the chin, creating a lock in the throat, stimulating the thyroid gland. And then opening out the hands, slowly releasing vertebra by vertebra back to the floor. And then just letting the knees come into the chest, tucking your knees in, take a rock from side to side. Okay, now releasing the left foot, sole of the foot to the floor, keeping the knee bent, taking the right ankle over to the left knee, and then just lightly pressing to the inside of that right knee with the right hand to open up the hip. And then if you want to take it a bit deeper, take the right hand through the gap between the legs, bend the knees in towards you, interlink the fingers around the outside of the left knee. So squeezing that knee in towards you, you should feel a little bit of a stretch through the IT band of the right leg. And then letting the left leg release all the way back down, straightening out the left leg, placing the right foot on top of the left knee, right arm reaching out to the side, and then guiding the knee across the body, coming into a nice twist. Maybe having the left hand just to support onto that knee. Maybe gazing back towards the right hand. And then slowly rolling onto your back, bending both knees in, hugging the knees, take a little rock from side to side. And then releasing the right foot, sole of the foot to the floor, knee stays bent, and then bring the left ankle onto the right knee. And then just a little bit of pressure to the inner side of the left knee. And then take the left hand through the gap, bend the knee in towards you, interlink the fingers around the outside of the right knee. If you want to feel a little bit more of a stretch in the IT band, you can just apply a little bit of pressure with the elbow to the inner thigh. And then releasing the right leg all the way flat to the floor. Left foot on top of the right knee, stretch the left arm out to the side, and then rotating over towards the right side and turning the head to look towards the left hand. And then slowly rolling back onto your back, bending both knees in, hugging the knees, a little bit of a rock from side to side. And then rolling over onto the right side, come up into sitting. Let's do a little bit of breath work before we go into our final relaxation. Okay, so alternate nostril breathing, taking the right hand, index and middle fingers resting in between the eyebrows, letting the eyes close. And then the right thumb is available to close the right nostril. The left, not the left, the little fingers are available to close the left nostril. So starting both nostrils open, inhaling through both, exhaling through both. Closing the right nostril with the thumb, inhaling through the left. Closing left, exhaling through the right. Inhaling through right. Close with the thumb and exhale through the left. Carry on for another 5 rounds like that. And when you've completed, just let the hands rest back into your lap. Observing the equanimity through both nostrils, bringing your whole system into this state of relaxed awareness. So slowly lying yourselves down onto your backs, ready for relaxation. Maybe grabbing a blanket to keep you warm if you need that. Letting the hands rest out to the side with the palms facing up. As you settle yourselves into this space, feeling the connection between your body and the floor, feeling the floor supporting the whole of the body, enabling every muscle to relax. So working your way around the body, starting from the toes, taking that awareness of relaxation to the toes. Relaxing the insteps and the ankles, relaxing the calves and the shins, relaxing the knees and the kneecaps, relaxing the front of the thighs and the back of the thighs, relaxing the buttocks, relaxing through the hips and pelvis. Feeling the whole of the lower body is completely relaxed. Moving the awareness up to the middle of the body, relaxing the muscles in the abdomen, relaxing the rib cage and the chest. Feeling the front of the torso completely relaxed. Taking the awareness around to the back of the body, relaxing between the shoulder blades, relaxing the spine from the neck down each of the vertebrae to the tailbone. Feeling the back of the torso completely relaxed. Shifting the awareness up to the neck, relaxing the muscles of the neck, relaxing the shoulders and the upper arms, relaxing the elbows and the forearms, relaxing the wrists and hands, fingers and thumbs, feeling the whole body from the neck down, completely relaxed. Moving the attention up to the head, relaxing the jaw, the chin, cheeks, the tongue relaxing in the lower jaw. Letting the eyeballs sink into the eye sockets, relaxing the eyelids, relaxing the forehead and temples, relaxing the crown of the head and the whole of the skull. Feeling the whole body from the crown of the head down to the tips of the toes is completely relaxed. The whole body is completely relaxed. Feeling your body is heavy, sinking into the floor, but letting yourself feel light, floating up towards the ceiling, looking down at your body on the mat beneath you. Letting yourself float up through the building, up above the rooftops, floating up into the sky, up above the clouds, up to the blue sky beyond. And letting yourself merge with the blue sky, be at one with the universe. And now starting to draw the awareness back to the breath, feeling cool, fresh air flowing in through the nostrils, and the warm, stale air flowing out. Feeling with each inhale the fresh energy, fresh oxygen flowing into the body, filling the heart and lungs. Feeling energy flowing up towards the head, energizing the brain. Feeling energy flowing down the arms to the tips of the fingers. Energy flowing down the torso through all the vital organs. Energy flowing all the way down the legs to the tips of the toes. Feeling the whole body re-energized and rejuvenated with life force energy. And then making small movements of the fingers and the toes, the wrists and the ankles, starting to wake the body up again. And then reaching the arms overhead, having a nice big stretch out, and then rolling over onto your right side, resting the head onto the arm. Take your moment here. And then when you're ready, slowly bringing yourselves up into sitting. Giving the hands a bit of a rub to create some heat, resting the palms over the eyes, and then massaging the fingertips over the face and the head, and the neck and the shoulders, and then down either side of the spine, and all the way down the legs, down to the feet and toes. And then from one shoulder, working your way down to the fingertips, and then the other side. Turning the palms to face up, inhale, reaching hands together, bringing all the goodness of your yoga practice